Hello and welcome, fellow awesomologists, to Awesomology. I'm Sue.
And I'm Ben, and in this episode, our newest teammate, Nick, is here to surprise us with a grab bag of questions for our last episode of the year. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, guys. It's good to be here.
Cue the round of applause
Woo!
layover track.
I don't know how to do that.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll fix it in
We'll
post.
figure that out. That's why he has to start producing this thing so
Yeah.
he can add applause for himself. Now, this is your first time on the podcast, Nicholas, but not the first time our listeners have heard of you. Ben told them all about the shoes you painted for Charlie last time. Mm-hmm. And we shared a picture and everything.
We did, yeah.
And
Fun
he can
process.
run so fast, and he can jump.
You can jump higher now.
Yep, he can jump so high, stick to walls with those things. It's awesome.
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
And quick plug for Nick's TikTok channel. He put a video out there of the process too. So.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, it's pretty
I
sweet.
also added Charlie's reaction.
Yeah, I got a
Aw.
video.
That's my favorite part, and that's why I do it for like things like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was pretty cool. He
He's
was
speechless,
speechless, yeah. Which, if you've met Charlie before, well, once you break through the hard candy shell, he's a pretty shy kid.
Yeah.
He's speechless often when you first meet him, but beyond that, he takes a while for him to be speechless. So it was pretty cool to see.
Neat.
So,
You ready?
I'm
nervous.
I'm a little anxious. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll say.
I'm nervous.
Yeah.
How do you think I feel?
Well,
Do we need to set the stage for what we asked Nick to do?
yeah, we probably should. That probably is helpful. So, last episode of the year, we wanted to make it special. We
Yep.
like to have a special time.
Kind of fun and different.
Yeah. So Ben came up. I'm blaming. See, I want to get at the top here. I want to blame you.
You can blame me. I'll take the credit. That's fine.
Oh, okay. So Ben came up with this idea to have Nick just give us some questions, and I think any kind of questions.
Yeah.
We didn't tell him specifically what
category.
questions. Yeah. So I hope there are no geography questions. That is my big concern right here because I can't.
Do we get like a pass or a phone a friend or anything on this
Can we
stuff?
phone a friend, Nick?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's okay. We don't have friends. If we,
Yeah.
all we have is each other.
No geography questions. My list went from 10 to about 2. No.
It was all geography. Dang it. Okay.
But yeah, I have 6 more serious ones, more business related, and 5 fun ones, and then we'll do a speed round.
Okay.
That'll take probably 20 seconds.
All right.
Super.
Have you met us? You think it'll take
Yeah.
20 seconds?
Yeah. We can stretch any question into a good half-hour discussion.
Yeah.
So for the first question, my marketing professor in high school or college at Viterbo, he'd always say adapt or die. And so going off of that, how do you keep up with changes in the field?
How do you keep up with changes in the field? Well, that's an interesting first question because, I don't think there's really any way to keep up, right?
Well, I have blogs, websites, seminars, gurus.
Oh, wait, so you already answered the question for
Well,
us?
I'm
No,
just,
I'm just kidding.
So
if you,
you could tell us the answers. In other words, we don't have to do this. I'm gonna go.
No.
just
so,
giving you some
Food for thought.
Yeah, I like
Yes,
it.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
got it. No, I mean, seriously, I think my answer to the question is it's darn near impossible to keep up because things are constantly changing. But to your point, there are definitely opportunities to, stay as, in the curve, ahead of the curve as possible, right? By education, there's so many awesome opportunities from great organizations for, training and education opportunities. And of course, there's traditional education and stuff too, right? Your tech schools or 4-year schools or even postgraduate programs and everything. But, I guess the thing that maybe could become a bit overwhelming is the amount of stuff that's out there for you, right? Because if you're a avid Googler and you're looking for this kind of information, you could go all day, right? All year reading stuff, and there's a bit of a filter that needs to be placed on that stuff sometimes too, because you never know who's sometimes you definitely know who's trying to sell something, but also there's times that you don't know if they're, trying to, just gain a customer or, share something that helps them do what they're trying to do or helps them make money, as opposed to, actually providing education and, keeping you up to speed, right?
Yeah. So my answer to this is probably oversimplistic. It's going to sound simple. It's not simple. It's follow your audience. Know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And I think that can help you filter out some of that noise.
Sure.
You figure out who you need to talk to, and then you go find out where they are and what they're talking about and what they're doing. And then everything else can just live out in the ether and
Right.
but that always comes back to that, my stock answer of it depends.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to? What are you trying to do?
Yeah.
So,
Well, we've got this cool thing in marketing too, where like a lot of what we do is in this like sandbox test ground area, right? So like, everything that you just said, love and totally agree. And when you start doing the stuff that you're trying to do for that audience, like you're going to learn, you're going
Right.
to test some things and you're going to find out like, hey, does that work? Did that stick? If it didn't, does that mean I should never do it again? Or do I just need to try with, one variable changed or something, So as much as people will try to tell you they're from the future and,
come with me if you want to live.
this is the way you should do it. This is the way it works. It might not work for you every time. And sometimes you just need to test,
And I'm sure those are like a weekly thing where guys are like, this is the way to do it.
Yeah,
So,
right. For sure.
Weekly. That is
Daily.
daily, every hourly.
So knowing your audience.
Yeah. Yes.
So my second question is, when you get assigned a project, how much time do you usually expect to take? Like, I guess it depends on the
We're gonna
project.
answer
Now, are you
every-
asking us? Because it's very different than for you guys.
We're going to answer every question with it depends.
Depends on the audience.
Yeah. It really does though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it totally depends, and it's really tough to even give a vague time range. I mean, I will say like general marketing tasks, projects that come to us, like I think we have a unwritten, I don't think this is written anywhere, that like 2 weeks is like, you shouldn't expect much sooner than that. Of course, there's emergency things, there's quick changes, there's quick adaptations of stuff that already exists that can be turned around really quickly or whatever. And then there's full-blown campaigns, branding projects, research that will take years, So, I
Right.
mean, it's tough to say without knowing the entire scope of the project or what it is we're looking at doing. But
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a very vague question. So,
Yes, very
sorry,
vague
but
question. I'm a real stickler for overthink. I'm a real overthinker, and I think one of the things that we don't maybe talk enough about, especially with the organizations we work with, is the idea that you have to take it and you have to do some assessment before you dive in. Nothing is immediate and simple, really.
Yeah.
Right.
And even some of the simplest projects that people might hand over, there can be aspects of it that if you are, I don't know, if you are looking at it from a 10,000 foot view, turns what could be a really simple project into a big, complex conversation that spans weeks. That sounded a little like an excuse.
Well,
That's just how I do my job.
Well, and I mean, honestly, let's balance it out. The flip side of that too is big, complex thing can be requested or come in or be in development, and all of a sudden the moment happens where you're like, wait, like let's take this thing that we just did and let's tweak it, and we'll likely get the same result. Or let's boil this down and we can do something way more simple than this full blown fill in the blank, whatever that thing is that we were initially thinking. So both happen for sure.
Right.
And I think the kind of people that we are, especially when we're concerned about people's happiness or satisfaction with us, right? It's easy for us to feel the pain of like, this thing that came in that we thought was going to be kind of simple got blown up and stretched out. And, how does everybody feel about that? And are concerned about whether or not people feel good about that, so like that stuff sticks with us a little bit, but the opposite happens from time to happens often too, where like something comes in, it's like, wait a minute, like this can be way simpler. Let's just do it this way.
Right.
So,
Right.
And-
Well, and also we wouldn't do the blown up version of something if we didn't feel like it was the right thing to do.
right.
We don't do it to pad our hours.
Yeah. No.
We want less. We actually want less work. We want it to be
Yeah.
all more efficient.
That's actually the thing that we have to figure out is making less work of it, right?
right.
But I could relate that to shoes. Me thinking it's gonna take an hour to do like a simple project, something goes wrong, and then it's like you're trying to retrace your steps. It takes 5 hours. But
Yeah. Has the flip happened where you thought, something, oh man, this is going to take me a week, and all of a sudden
yeah.
you're like, wow.
So that's why it's better to say you're gonna get it done in like maybe 2 weeks and get it done in 5 days.
Sure.
Than rather being like, I'll get it done in 5. Takes 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and things are constantly changing, going back to your first question and stuff where, if you think something's going to take a shorter amount of time and something along the way tells you, yeah, this isn't going to happen like that. That's where all those good old fashioned principles of communication and stuff come in, right?
Yep.
Just, hey, things change, and, whether you're doing work for yourself or for a client or something, like just being real about that and identifying it when it happens or when it's going to happen is better than like trying to limp along or squeeze something in,
Being honest.
Yeah.
For sure. Have you ever gotten caught in that trap where, yeah, we can get that done in a week, and maybe in your earlier life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And today.
And when you say earlier life, do you mean this week yet?
Yeah. You mean like earlier this morning? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And, for any number of reasons, my inability, in that instance to fully assess the project or understand everything about it, or, completely unknown circumstances that all of a sudden it's like, shoot, this is not what we thought it was going to be, So, yeah, it certainly has happened and continues to. But you learn, right? You learn, and I think they're limited, or sometimes that situation winds up being a good thing because you learn something along the way, and you're like, shoot, like this could wind up being a really cool thing if we take this extra time to do it this way or add this to the mix, whatever, right?
Yeah, that's a great answer. How do you ensure marketing costs stay within the budget?
What now? I don't.
What's a budget? No,
I don't understand. Can you rephrase the question?
Wait, I think that question was for the accounting podcast.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
upstairs right now.
We kid.
We're kidding.
The marketing department credit card. There's no ceiling.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Honestly, I actually think we're pretty frugal. I think we're really analytical about what we spend money on, and we will spend money. We spend good money is always my opinion.
Yeah.
If something is worth spending the money on, we'll do it,
Yeah.
even if it is hard to justify it to someone outside of our industry.
Yeah.
But if it's not worth spending money on,
Yeah.
or time, which equals money, I think we're really frugal about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And probably something I'm a bit hypersensitive to and don't know how real this actually is. But for me personally, I think it might be like I might be on the other side of that where I'm maybe too conservative sometimes or frugal, right? Like there's times that maybe it makes sense to dedicate more, particularly dollars, like just spending more on some things. Time budget, I think I'm pretty, that's something that I think I probably overspend on often or overcommit ourselves or myself, the whole team to things. But from a dollar standpoint, and I think that part of that is my previous life of being self-employed, and every dollar you spent, like you looked at it as your own dollar you were spending, right? I mean, that was kind of the mindset. And I think that mindset can live alongside the theory of, gotta spend money to make money, right? I think that there's a healthy place in between there. But then even from, the aspect of our organization, every dollar that we spend, we have to think this is members' dollars that we're spending, and so, that responsibility and frugality, that's a word, right?
It is now.
It is now, yeah. Is super important. And that balance between being responsible and frugal and doing what we need to do to continue to grow and take some risks and, invest in things that we think will move us, the organization, and our members' dollars forward, we have to do, right?
Yeah. So I think really the answer to how do you avoid overspending is by knowing pretty precisely what you're spending for and then making choices. I do honestly believe if you are making good choices based on data, based on what you know, based on your expertise, and for example, if you're spending money on a campaign and the campaign is not successful, that does not necessarily equate directly to you overspent on the campaign. The spend might not be the problem. It could be something within the campaign, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you avoid overspending by being conscientious of the money you spend and
Yeah, and being comfortable with the results, whatever they are, right?
yeah.
Okay, next question. When is the time to ask another agency for help, or how quickly do you ask another agency for help?
Good question.
That's a great question.
Like, when is the time?
I think we have to be intelligent about what our limitations are, both in terms of capacity and in terms of skill. And we've worked with other outside agencies and super talented people. And if you just have to be realistic. The time to ask for help is when you can't do the thing that you have to do and you have to deliver a good product, and then you get help.
Yeah.
I'm going for the oversimplified answers today. Is that
Has it ever gone south asking for help and it didn't reach expectations?
I can think of one example.
Yeah, I can think of a couple. And, I think that's just a risk that you're going to take. Anytime that you have to give up some control and trust somebody else to do your work for you, there's so many things that could happen that could make you feel at the end of it all like that it backfired or that something didn't go quite right. They missed the creative style. They overspent. They didn't deliver on time, right? There's a lot of things that could happen. And I think, anytime that you're trusting an outside agency, you have to take all those things into consideration. And, again, maybe through trust and, a development of a relationship, you might learn what to expect, right? And take comfort in what you get from the people that you trust. So, and this is, I'm definitely living in hypothetical land here, but if you get what you are looking for at a price that's super affordable, really efficient or something like that, and creatively it's, on point and, what you were looking for, but it's always a little bit late, you have to decide whether or not you're comfortable with that,
Right.
and same thing all the way, with all of those, just think of it as scales. And, I think most of the time agencies and stuff provide a pretty balanced experience. It's at a price that you're expecting to pay. It's the quality or service that you're looking for, and, it's on time. But we know that sometimes those things maybe come out of balance a little bit. And how comfortable are you with it? How good are both of you at communicating those things and, making sure that you're on the same page? And I think that especially in our work, again, where things are constantly changing and there's so many variables, you do need to have a little bit of comfort with some squishiness when it comes to looking at those things on a balance or on a scale, right? So,
Right. Well, and I think another thing that comes to play for us, and I'll go ahead and speak for both of us, because we both have our areas of expertise that you are always sort of battling that that little gremlin in the back of your head that says, I wouldn't have done it that way.
Sure.
And it doesn't mean it's not valid.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's not good work. It means you yourself, if you had the time, wouldn't have done it the same way.
Yeah.
And you do have to kind of tamp down that little demon and be like, shut up.
Yeah.
It got done.
Yeah. And this is where like the work that we do is so different than the accountant, right? And not to pick on the accounting people all day. We promise we love you. But,
They're not listening.
To your,
Don't worry.
to your, to your point of like, I wouldn't have done it that way. And like having that voice in the back of your head, like if you're making a spreadsheet balance and that's way oversimplifying what accountants do, again, I mean, no offense, but like, there's no argument there, It's like you do it the way that it, has to balance, and maybe there's different techniques and formulas and functions and stuff. Again, I don't mean to oversimplify,
the
but
Excel sheet could be colored.
Yeah, right.
It's true.
Right. But the result is the same, right? Like balance at the end. And for us, the output could be totally different based on who's doing the work or their process or whatever. So,
But yeah, I liked how you brought up trust, because anything out of your control, you kind of just have to kind of live with it. At the end of the day, if you're
Right.
paying someone to do it, you're giving them the control. So
yeah.
He looked you right in the eyes when you
I
said
know.
that
Yeah.
too, just so you know it was really
My
targeted.
soul is still burning. I think, so.
You're paying
Yeah.
someone to do that.
just respectful. Look
we're
at people in the eye.
we're paying a guy to do that.
Second to last question. For the
Second to
for the
last
serious,
serious
for the
question.
serious business
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Whenever we do a project of our own, do you always think we can try to turn this idea into multiple pieces of content? Is that always the idea?
If we had 50 hours a day, man, the stuff we could do with more time, more people. That is always a thing that plagues me. Like all of the things that we could blow up in a nice way.
Yeah.
That we could turn into multiple different pieces of content and be using over a more extended period of time. So that is a thing that I regret sometimes. The grind that we go through prevents some of that for us.
Yeah. Yeah. To be a brat about your question, like the word always, like, it's just like the words always and never, I'm always like triggered when I hear them. Cause like,
Always?
not,
Are you always triggered? Or
Oh,
is
see,
it
look,
never
it's like
not
those
triggered?
myself, right?
You're triggered from elementary when you got to watch out for those true and false questions.
Right.
Always and never.
Yep. Yeah. So, I think that there's times that you create something for what it is or what it's for or where it's going to live. And you just know, like, that's where it's going to be. That's what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't need to be anything else or, transformed for any other channel or whatever. Right.
If the option's there.
But, well, and almost always,
Yeah.
like you're just, because I think it's just so much work goes into the front end of a lot of what we do, right? The creative concept, all of the research, the, initial designs or, again, depending on what we're actually creating here, the initial writing, to then just take it and modify it for something else or a different distribution channel or whatever. Like, why not do those things? And the answer to why not is it still takes time.
Yeah, because we've moved on.
Because we
to the
moved
next
on
thing.
and yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great question.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Great answers. Okay, last question for the serious note. Do you have a hobby outside of work that helps you be a better leader?
Ooh. I mean, I can start with this one. I mean, between coaching football, which I did for many, many years, from little peewee age up to varsity high school, plenty of opportunity there to lead and grow and coach, right? And then now, more recently, the work that I do through Rotary, lots of opportunity to lead teams, coach, provide inspiration, a lot of things that I think good leaders need to do. So, I mean, those are a couple for me that have been very present in my life and have taken up a lot of time out of work that I think have helped, as far as leading this team or, coaching here at work. And being on a team, being on, this team and on the greater organization's team, right? So, yeah, those are two that are really big in my life that have happened in the last decade and a half, 2 decades. Yeah.
Okay.
And led the team to state.
We did go to state, and and I was part of a great team of coaches there that, everybody played their role just like any healthy team, but
Just trying to give credit where credit is
yeah,
due.
I appreciate it. And I'll very quickly deflect as much of that credit, because lots of big brains on that coaching staff that made that happen, and great athletes and students and humans, that made that team really successful. But yeah, that was a fun year.
Humble teamwork.
Yeah.
Love it.
How about you, Sue?
So I have 2 ways I could answer this. My number 1 answer, and it's not a hobby, is I had 3 kids and a house and all of that stuff to keep, I do often. Now I definitely try to make a really sharp delineation between my kids and the team, right? I am not like a mom person.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I am actually a mom, but I'm not like a mom person. So I do like that. That's not a fuzzy line in my mind, but I definitely learned from having a family, especially once they start outnumbering you. There is a lot that I learned from that about, when you're put into a situation where when you have a family, the ideal is everyone has to be moving forward together, and you don't really have the option to say, oh, well, that person's going to go do their own thing. Like my 5-year-old's going to go play in the road now, and it's, that's his thing, and he's just going to be cool doing that. You have to help move everyone forward together to accomplish anything. And I think that's a lesson that I try and bring in. You have to make sure that everyone is working together. You don't pretend that you're a family, I don't think. But there is that aspect of, we all have a shared fate. We all have to work toward that shared fate. Yeah. And, we don't need to kind of gussy it up with, oh, we're all a family and we're all that. Yeah. If that works for a team, that works for a team. Yeah. I don't see it that way. I see that we all have a thing that we have to do together, which is the same as having a family. The other answer I have is I have really solitary hobbies. I do gardening. I take pictures. I do things that I don't need people around me for. I think I do some of that stuff because I am an introvert, and that's where I'm recharging my battery. Mm-hmm. And so for me, doing those solitary hobbies, especially gardening, which is a spot where I can, and I've said this before on the podcast, my brain can go where it needs to go, and it helps solve problems because I can deal with something that is practical and go put my brain on autopilot. And I think that makes me a better leader too, because it's not always about lessons in leadership. Sometimes it's just about taking care of, tending your own emotional garden.
Yeah. Giving your mind a break.
Yeah, giving yourself that time. And yeah.
And the tomatoes are going to do what they're going to do, darn it.
It's true.
As much as you want to help them.
And this year they did very little. Very little.
As you were talking about being a mom and kids and stuff, I just was picturing this analogy of an independent self-starter 5-year-old that, you could just leave because they're, they've got those qualities, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't quite work.
Well, and that's what came up on their performance review. Oh. And I said to them,
listen, you got to be more independent.
Yeah. I really need a self-starter in this position.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to have to cut you.
Yeah.
Be home at 6 for dinner.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Okay, moving on to some fun questions.
Hey, those were fun.
Woo!
Favorite book and why? Is that fun?
Sure. It's not fun.
Yeah, okay. It's fun. Well,
Gets better. Gets better.
No, these
That's
are
a
good.
good one.
These
Don't
are
worry.
good.
Doesn't have
It's so tough because, are we talking fiction, nonfiction, right? Like to pick favorite book. That is really tough. I love Of Mice and Men. It's a classic for me. I don't know why. It's just I've always liked it since they made us read it in high
such a
school.
good one.
Yeah, it's such
Great
a good one,
book.
right? But then this is probably just like the dude in me that just loves picture books and stuff, right? But
Where the wild
yeah.
things are.
Yeah. Well, hey, that is a great one
That's
too.
a good one.
But I love like the like picture the boutique downtown shop that sells the awesome like coffee table books. Like I love those kind of books. Like I have one that's called like Classic Rock Stories or something like that, and it's kind of like the origin story of some of like the best rock songs ever made. Like, what the hidden message is or where they were when they wrote it, how quickly they wrote it. I mean, and that's like kind of amazing. Sidebar here, like how some of these amazing hits that are just like classic songs that are going to be around forever were like literally written on a napkin in 15 minutes in a bar in London or something. You know what I mean? And then meanwhile, other people are like racking their brain to create the next big thing or whatever. So like some of those stories that you get out of like cool little quick hitter books like that, I think are cool. Or, even like I was kind of joking about the picture book thing, but once upon a time I got this gift that was a book called Barns of Nebraska. And guess what's in the book? It's pictures
Is it
of
barns?
barns.
Are they in Nebraska?
In Nebraska.
Sweet.
But it's, beautiful photography with a central theme around agriculture and farms and barns and everything. It's just beautiful, And so like I love to be able to just like thumb through a book like that and get like the good vibes that come through beautiful images or quick hitter stories and stuff like that. So I'm totally dodging the answer to your question of favorite book. So we'll just go with Of Mice and Men, but I also love like that genre of like coffee table intrigue, so
Love it. So I'm gonna keep the literary theme, and my initial answer would be To Kill a Mockingbird, because that is also one that read it in school, loved it ever since,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if I'm really honest, that's not really the genre of books that are my favorite books. My favorite books are Stephen King books.
ooh,
And so that is, but I couldn't pick one.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
yeah,
I wouldn't be able to tell you what is my favorite Stephen King book.
cool. I mean, yeah, wow. I've never read a StephenKing book.
There's
Seen
plenty.
some of the movies. Yeah,
There are plenty.
There's two or three, right?
Yeah.
He's on like his fourth book now.
He's a real up and comer.
Yeah.
That's Steve.
Steve.
If he was a stock, put all your money into
Yep,
Steve
right
yep,
now.
yep.
Those are good answers, though. Who would you like to play in a movie?
So we are the actor?
Yeah, you. Yep.
Okay.
Wow. Great question. We're gonna have to cut some dead space here.
Yeah,
as the
yeah,
wheels
yeah.
just
This is
spin.
all.
Do we skip this one?
No,
It's
no,
all
no.
Come
fun.
back?
No, we're
Okay,
not.
okay.
No skipsies.
No skip.
No. If we skip it, we're not coming back to it. Our
Right.
brains are
Yeah.
gone. Oh, you know what? Why don't we pick for each other?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
We'll
that
pick
sounds
for
fun.
each other. Okay. Let me think. I think you should play a young Jimmy Carter. I think you would be. That's who you're gonna play
Yeah.
in his biopic.
Oh my gosh.
Jimmy Carter. Can you
That
do
actually
like
sounds kind of fun.
a little Georgia accent? That's just like that's such your vibe,
Is
bro.
Is that when they have like the molasses kind of,
Here's
the
yeah.
slippery little.
I think you're
I'd
going
have to
down
work on it.
down
I'm
to
going
Louisiana.
a little too far south.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The words just kind of slip out of your mouth. That's
His
a little
is kind
more
of light.
Louisiana.
He has kind of a nice light.
Yeah. I'll start studying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's my pick for you. Is
I'll just be in
Jimmy
character
Carter.
for the next year while I figure this out.
Okay, great. We can't wait.
Yeah. I'm sure you can't wait.
Calling Katie
That's cool.
Rosalind.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Oh gosh, this is really tough though. This is maybe just recency bias. I just watched Spirited with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell,
Okay.
and I just see Octavia Spencer with you.
Do I give off an Octavia
Whatever
Spencer?
role
There's
she's playing.
one big difference, but
Yeah, there's one big difference. Yes. No, but I feel a certain energy through her characters. I think that
Okay.
aligns with you. So I
have
think
an
you'd be.
she was in The
natural.
Help.
She was in The Help.
She
It's
she
good
she
in
gave the
Help.
pie
Yeah.
in The Help.
She-
Yes, I
Yeah.
will take Octavia
Okay.
Spencer.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome.
And who's Nick gonna play? Justin Timberlake.
Sure, I like it.
Done.
Yes.
We're all happy. Okay, what's your biggest fear? It's kind of generic, but
Oh,
Wow.
maybe
this is a
maybe
fun
I just
question.
kind of wanted to know.
Fun question.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're having fun.
Everybody have
Yeah.
fun. What's your biggest fear?
Well, I mean, this is totally a lazy answer, but a legit one. Just being a dad and actually just coming off of like a week and a half of my kids being sick. Not like super sick, but just, flu type stuff. Anytime I see them unhappy or hurting, like it just crushes my heart. So like big fear is anything happening to them, so again, maybe the easy way out, because I think every parent feels this fear, right? And is probably their real biggest fear if you boiled it down. But also snakes.
I was expecting clowns.
Yeah.
Now that I think of it,
Gosh, clowns.
Clowns.
not the clown.
If I had to choose, like,
If you had to
be
put
trapped in a room
yeah.
with a clown or with a venomous snake, I might pick the snake and just trust my athletic ability to stay away from it.
You don't trust your athletic ability to stay away from the clown.
I don't. You never know who's under the mask. What if that person is
True.
Dodgy.
Yeah,
I want to
that's
say
tough.
you're 9 times out of 10 more athletic than the clown. So,
You think so? Okay.
yeah.
I don't
so-
know. They have a pretty physical job.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Could be. Who knows?
I mean, you've seen them make balloons. Imagine if your neck is the balloon.
Just don't be scared of it.
You're such a weirdo.
I'm sorry, man.
It's okay.
Like
You know what my greatest fear? And it is so unfounded. Well, I think it's 80s movies that instilled this in me. Being accused of a murder I didn't commit and not being able. I know.
Yeah, like a cold case, and it's just,
Just-
you were in the area.
just
It's
Yeah.
you.
stuck.
Yeah, and not being able to get out of it.
Yeah.
So, like, going to prison for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I don't know why or where that. No, I think it's movies and TV is where that
yeah.
came from.
Thanks, Dateline.
Yeah. A normal person would have called 911, but you didn't, did you? Yeah. But also my kids and blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Wow. That is hard.
That is hard.
Okay. No, we can do it though. It's not too hard.
Okay.
Nothing's too hard for us, Nick. I don't know why I'm bringing you that energy, but I am. I would pick Martin Luther King Jr. Abraham Lincoln and Florence Nightingale.
Wow.
That is like the most PC answer.
Definitely.
It's not true. My answer is like Kelly Clarkson, Justin Timberlake.
I think last week's Sunday inspirational post I did for him.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That is definitely where Florence Nightingale's name
Okay.
came from.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's tough to not pick the big figures like Michael Jordan. But I think picking them for an answer to this question is more like I'd like to meet them, But I don't know, if I had 3 people and just had an opportunity to have dinner with them, I think I'd pick just might sound lame, but I'd pick my mom. I have a brother who passed away in '02. I'd love to have dinner with him. That'd be cool. And then like, I don't, somebody, gosh, I'm going to pick my friend Renee Durham. Her last name's Tyner now, who, I totally got to send her a link to this and say, hey, I shouted you out, even though we haven't talked in like 10 years. But I met her through back when I was doing some youth leadership stuff with the National FFA organization. We did conference facilitation, and she was one of my teammates and just an awesome person, amazing human being. And I would pick I'm going to pick her so I can give a name and actually answer the question. But I would pick somebody like that, or maybe even 3 people like that I met somewhere along the way that I just loved. And then life happens and you fall out of touch or whatever. And just like catch up. How you doing? What's going on?
That's really good. I'm jealous of your answer now.
Oh, okay.
I
Sorry.
am. Because there are people like from high school
Yeah, right?
and grade school that I just want to know what's going
Yeah.
on.
And with like social media and stuff, you can know enough like of what they, hey, it's, they have kids now or whatever, right? You can learn enough, but like, how's that going?
Yeah.
What's the journey been like and all that? Yeah.
That's awesome. And yeah, it's kind of, do you pick people that you just are a fanboy over,
Right,
and that don't even really care about you?
Right. Yeah.
Or- yeah. So
But we actually are the kind of people that believe they'd care about us at the end of dinner. They'd be like, what is Ben
Oh,
doing?
we make them care.
okay, last one. Have you ever had your "I've made it" moment? Like in life, maybe. In general.
Not yet.
I don't know.
You're like a baby, though.
Oh gosh.
Just
Not
a
quite.
little big baby.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's always more. So I don't know. This question actually makes me a little sad because you're just like constantly chasing, But
greedy,
I don't know.
Ben.
I think there's been some moments. Yeah, I'm just greedy. There's been some huge life moments where I feel like, yeah, I've made it. This is great. Marriage, kids, stuff like that. Huge moments. But and even at work, like there have been some really cool moments here where like, gosh, this is where I'm supposed to be, but there's just always the next thing. Yeah. So
there's always something to live for.
Yeah,
that's a tough question.
That's
There,
tough.
I still don't have any desire to like hit a pinnacle and then coast
Yeah.
the rest of the way. That's to me, that's what comes to mind. Like I've made it. Okay, now I'm done. And I can't even picture that.
Mm-hmm.
So, same as you though. I've had really great moments.
Yeah.
I've had moments where I've been like, "Ooh, maybe that was what I was working up to, like professionally, or."
Sure.
But I can always see the next thing that I want to do, and there's always more to get done.
This question makes me think of a moment growing up when my grandparents we were all camping, like I don't know, 3 of our like families, like my whole immediate family and one of my mom or a couple of my mom's sisters and all their kids, like a lot of my cousins. We went camping in West Salem, Wisconsin, and there was a like softball diamond at the campground, and we just played like a pickup game of softball, and there was enough of us kids that we could do this. Yeah, I know, big families. And I have this picture burned in my brain of my grandparents sitting in like the classic folding lawn chairs behind the backstop, just watching us play. And I don't know how old I was, but I was old enough to like have the appreciation for that moment, to see my grandparents and think like, man, like, what are they thinking right now? Like, I could see that moment being like an I've made it sort of moment. Like, look at what we've created, this family and these humans, these people, right? And now we're just like watching them play a pickup game of softball. Like, how cool is that, So, but even then, like, I don't know if, they had more to do,
Right.
after that moment, and it was just a softball game. But I don't know, I guess we're probably both the kind of people that like appreciate that moment in time,
Right.
and then
And we're like, okay, what's next?
What's next?
What else
Yep.
can we do? Another thing I thought of, probably a moment that I felt, and I hadn't made it, but a moment I felt so good about professionally is when we did, this is a few years ago now, we did the video that my parents got to be in. Like that was a super big deal to me, because it was like my professional life aligned in a way that I got to invite my parents in. They still didn't understand what I did for a living, but they got to be a part of it, and then I got to sort of share them with people.
Yeah.
So that was significant to me.
Super cool. And just being like playing a small role in that project, and now with your mom gone, like I feel proud that like you have that moment like on camera, like so cool. So that's special.
And Michaela going, they're so cute.
Yeah.
Don't tell him I said that.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that
Speed
it?
round? Is it speed round time?
That is it for the fun questions.
Air quotes. Fun.
Air quotes for the fun.
Should we do the speed round and then
Let's do it.
Awesome.
On to the lightning round.
should we go person, or you both just
We'll go.
answer?
I'll answer the first one first, and then we'll flip.
Okay.
Cool.
Got it.
Okay. Dog or cat?
Dog.
Dog.
Plans or surprises?
Plans.
Oh, plans.
Share food or don't share food?
Share food.
Yeah, share food. I get offended when people won't share my food. This happens all the time with me and Doc. I'd be like, you should try this. No, that's fine. What?
Yeah.
You have to try it. I'm sharing my food with you.
Eat off my fork.
I insist.
Here comes the airplane.
Maybe that's why.
Every time. I haven't tried
Sue,
that.
that's
he
the
says-
problem.
Chugga, choo, choo. Okay.
Split the bill or take turns paying?
Take turns paying.
I don't take turns. I let you pay sometimes.
Oh, thanks.
That's about it. But
It's an honor.
yeah. I'm not.
Anytime.
I'm notably. I cause fights about. I don't like to take turns paying. Just let me pay. Shut up. Eat your food.
Yeah.
Late night or early night?
Late.
Early night, early morning. Ben Franklin all the way, baby.
Yeah.
Early to bed, early to rise.
Toilet paper over or under?
Over.
What is wrong with you? What's the right answer, Nick? This should have come up.
Definitely over.
Oh, thank God.
Goodness.
Yes, over.
Well,
To
I'm
anyone
glad
that says
we can
under-
continue to work together. Thanks.
Unsubscribe.
Opt out.
Snow or sand?
Sand.
Sand.
That was my last one. I really wish I had
That
more.
was good.
Yeah.
We liked it.
I wish I had more of these, though. This
Yeah.
was fun.
The lightning ones are fun.
Hey, brother. No regrets.
Yep.
It's
No
all
regrets.
fine. It's all good.
Not even one letter.
You did a great
Yeah,
job.
nicely done. Great job on the
Thank you.
questions. That was fun. A fun way to wrap up another season of the podcast. That's cool.
Yeah. And I think it's especially good for two people who love to hear themselves talk so much. They're so fond of their own
Right.
opinion.
Well, I loved asking the questions, so
That's why we all get along so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for your help, Nick. We should, before we officially wrap up, let's dive into our Something Awesome segment where we recommend events, things, podcasts, content, stuff that are worth sharing. And I'm going to kick it off with this really awesome article that is way over my head scientifically, and so much so that I actually had to take exact notes of what's in the article of this really cool scientific breakthrough that happened recently related to nuclear fusion energy. Now, I'm not like a science geek or anything like that. I'm like just curious enough that like I'm intrigued by astrology and the science, Did I say astrology?
Yeah, astrology or astronomy.
See, this is proof that I'm not
You're
a big
not a
geek or
science
anything.
geek at all.
I'm definitely not a
Just
geek. Astronomy is what I
you
meant.
know,
But
your star sign.
yeah,
Or,
right. Yeah. I'm a Taurus, by the way. But
That's such a Taurus thing to do.
I know.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
that's what I instantly thought of. I'm like, I wonder what his astrology sign is.
we'll just edit that out so I don't look like a
No,
fool.
we won't. Who's this we used to
Gonna
be
put it
called?
on repeat. Yeah, got it. Anyway, so we're going to share a link to a New York Times article that talks about this scientific breakthrough for nuclear fusion energy is something that people have been working on for a long, long time. It's been like in movies. It's kind of like science fiction-y because it has seemingly been like impossible to figure out the process in a way that it's actually usable to solve our problem of carbon footprint and, non-sustainable energy that we're still using. And so basically, to keep it brief here, what this is it's essentially the same process that the sun uses to create energy. And there's a way for us to do this in labs. The problem has always been that it always took way more energy to create the process that winds up creating this energy than the energy that we actually get out of it, right? So just this year in December, at the time of this recording, 15 days ago, and this is where I'm going to go word for word just so I don't screw it up. 192 giant lasers at the laboratory's National Ignition Facility blasted a small cylinder about the size of a pencil eraser that contained a frozen nubbin, coolest word ever, of hydrogen encased in diamond. The laser beams entered at the top and bottom of the cylinder, vaporizing it. That generated an inward onslaught of X-rays that compresses a BB-size fuel pellet of deuterium and tritium. Again, not a science nerd. If I was, I'd know how to say those things, which are the heavier forms of hydrogen. Last thing that I'll share here, word for word. In a brief moment lasting less than 100 trillionths of a second, 2.05 megajoules of energy, roughly the equivalent of a pound of TNT, bombarded the hydrogen pellet, outflowed a flood of neutron particles, the product of fusion, which carried about 3 megajoules of energy, a factor of a 1.5 energy gain. So, lots of big words there. Sorry for that, everyone. The big takeaway is they put a ton of energy into the thing. They got a ton and more energy out and proved that they can do this process in a way that actually has a higher output than the input. So maybe the initial steps to creating a sustainable form of huge energy that could power the planet, right? So I think we've got a long way to go before this is, a real thing, right? It still feels a little science fiction-y, but, a huge step in a big problem that we have on the planet is like figuring out how we can do what we do to, continue to grow our society and our civilizations using the technology that we need to in a way that's, not going to wind up killing the planet or killing humanity, right? So I'm totally going doomsday there. It's a huge, huge moment and lots of science in the article. So we'll share the link if you're curious about that kind of stuff. But thought it was really cool.
That is really cool. Yeah. And I wish I understood
Sounds awesome.
it.
Yeah. Sorry
better. That's okay.
We'll share some links to another
jam.
podcast that might explain it so we can all understand it.
Yeah. Do you have something awesome to share, Nick?
I do.
Yay.
I chose, me being the shoe guy, East Bay. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
Like apparel, clothing, shoes. They're going out of business, so they have 50% off.
I didn't know
website.
that. East Bay is going out of business?
Yep. So I recently bought a pair of shoes, 50% off. So if you need a pair of shoes, t-shirt.
Now, I don't know if you know
Not
the answer
sponsored.
to this question. Yeah. Well, and probably a good thing because they're going out of business.
Yep.
East Bay owns Foot Locker, right?
Yeah, they're like parent companies. Foot Locker isn't going out of business.
Okay, so Foot Locker's
East
sticking
Bay
around, but
is.
East Bay's going away. Interesting.
Yep.
Their loss is your gain.
Right.
Get to the website.
Yeah.
Get some tennis shoes.
Take advantage of that discount.
Yeah.
Did you ever do the big East Bay tent sale? People in Wisconsin or in the Midwest probably only know about this, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was like a big annual event for
Yeah.
us. Just going like stocked up and got all the stuff that you normally couldn't afford.
For like 70%
Yeah.
off. It's good times.
Yeah.
Gotta keep them kids
so
in
long,
shoes.
East Bay.
Yeah. Okay. So, completely different than either one of yours. But I do like to make sure that no matter what expertise I bring to the podcast, what knowledge I'm able to share, that everyone remembers I am basic, just super, super basic. So the thing I want to share and recommend is the show Wednesday on Netflix. If you're not, it is so,
It's good.
It's so good. It's got mystery to it. It's fun to watch. I used to love the Addams Family as a kid because that was one. You know, when you had, legendarily, when you only had 3 channels and all that stuff, and everything was a rerun, and you could watch the Addams Family. I love the Addams Family. So,
Yeah.
bringing it back, man. So good.
I was super skeptical, and Katie wanted to watch it, and I was like, "Yeah, you can watch that one by yourself. Don't worry. You don't need to wait for me or anything like that." And then, it was just like one of those nights where she was watching it, and I watched for a bit, and I'm like, "Oh, this actually looks really good. Can we start this over?" So, it's really good, really well done.
Yeah. And beautiful.
Yeah,
Really beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And visually, really.
Definitely.
Didn't it break records?
Yeah,
for
I think
Yeah.
it's
opening?
Yeah, it's like
Opening
the
week or something?
I think it's the most streamed Netflix show ever now. Maybe I'm
I
making
think
that up.
that's
Maybe.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's saying
So
something.
what you're saying is I'm not basic.
You are not.
I'm on trend.
Right.
Here. Okay. That's all I care about. So we will share links to that stuff. You probably have already watched Wednesday. That's okay. I'll
Right.
still share links so you can see because it is so good. We'll share those along with any other cool links that we can share. And a reminder to everyone listening that you can see all of those links and you can find us on your favorite podcast app, or you can always visit our blog, exclamationqso.com/blog. You can see all of our episodes there and other interesting and useful stuff. I am, of course, biased because I think it's interesting and useful, but I put it there, so I would.
That's right. Awesome. So make sure to go check that stuff out, and go back and listen to some of the other awesome stuff that's been put out. It really is awesome, not just because Sue says it is. But that's it for this episode. Thanks again, Nick, for joining us. Thanks for putting together all those awesome questions. And thank you, friends, for tuning in. This is Sue, Ben, and Nick, your self-proclaimed professors of awesomology, reminding you that life's awesome if you make it awesome. We'll see you next time.